What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Optimus Live, where I'll be covering more real-world events and news topics that are going on right now. I'll be doing this every day at 6 p.m. Eastern, like I said, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday most likely. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, honestly, so I want to just go ahead and get right on into it. And to start everything off, Dr. Rick Bright, who was an ousted director of the office involved in developing a coronavirus vaccine, formally has filed an extensive whistleblower complaint on Tuesday alleging that early warnings about the coronavirus were ignored, and him airing caution at a treatment that was favored by President Donald Trump led to his removal from his position. Since 2016, Bright had led the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. However, last month he was reassigned to a new position at the National Institutes of Health. Bright claims that way back in January he was already raising concerns about the United States' preparedness for the coronavirus and a potential outbreak within the country, but was met with, quote, indifference, which then developed into hostility by leaders at the Department of Health and Human Services. Attorneys representing Dr. Bright have argued that his removal from post violates the Whistleblower Protection Act, and they claim that he has, quote, engaged in numerous instances of protected activity. Through his complaint, he is now seeking reinstatement as BARDA's director and is asking for a full investigation into why he was removed from his position. According to the complaint, quote, Dr. Bright pressed for urgent access to funding, personnel, and clinical specimens, including viruses, which he emphasized were all critically necessary to begin development of life-saving machines needed in the likely event that the virus spread outside of Southeast Asia. Secretary Azar and Dr. Kadlik responded with surprise at Dr. Bright's dire predictions and urgency. Quote, it was obvious that Dr. Bright's persistent demands for urgent action to respond to the pandemic had caused a, quote, shitstorm and a, quote, commotion, and were unwelcome in the office of the HHS secretary. As a result, HHS leadership excluded Dr. Bright and the BARDA from these recurring meetings and from the critical discussions about addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the coronavirus pandemic started, the United States has statistically become the most infected country on planet Earth. And with that being said, intelligence shared among the Five Eyes nations indicates that it is, quote, highly unlikely that the coronavirus outbreak was spread as a result of an accident in a laboratory, but rather originated in a Chinese market. The Five Eyes intelligence nations is sort of a collaboration between 5 Western countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The Five Eyes Alliance is made up of several different investigation groups and agencies from all of the countries collaborating together. Early conspiracy theories started to second-guess the official story that was spread by the Chinese government that COVID-19 originated in the wet markets about a mile away from Wuhan's Institute of Virology. Conspiracy theorists for a while now have been theorizing that the institute itself actually is where COVID-19 was released from, whether accidentally or not. Usually depends on the person that you would ask. The Institute of Virology is around a mile away from the wet markets that COVID-19 is suspected to have began at. A Western diplomatic official with knowledge of the intelligence said, quote, we think that it's highly unlikely that it was an accident. It is highly likely that it was naturally occurring and that the human infection was from natural human and animal interaction. As of right now, though, the United States has yet to make a formal public assessment on the situation. However, the assessment from this group seems to undermine some of the claims made by President Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo, both of which have sort of doubled down on the assertion that the outbreak probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. People expect that it will increase pressure on the Trump administration to provide evidence to back up the claim. Whether or not they will do so, though, has yet to be determined. Another interesting part, though, another source in the entire thing says that it is also extremely possible that the United States is not sharing all of the intelligence that it has gathered. Obviously, every country has sort of its own intentions, even though they all work together, so all of these countries will definitely keep some information to themselves and decide not to discuss it or share it with the Five Eyes. And the United States is definitely no exception. In an interview with National Geographic that published on Monday, Dr. Anthony Fauci, which is the nation's top infectious disease expert of the United States, says that he doesn't believe the virus originated in a lab. Fauci said, quote, if you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now, the scientific evidence is very, very strongly leaning towards that this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated. Everything about the stepwise evolution over time strongly indicates that this virus evolved in nature and then jumped species. Mike Pompeo told ABC News on Sunday, quote, "I can tell you that there is a significant amount of evidence that this came from that laboratory in Wuhan." As of right now, medical professionals, experts are kind of clashing with the Trump administration and other government officials as the country tries its hardest to recover from the massive amount of cases that have developed, to restart the economy and get people back to the more normal life that they can expect after this outbreak. Also in the news, Airbnb is to lay off nearly 1,900 of its employees, which constitutes about 25% of the corporate company. News started to be reported by The Information, which actually reports that the news about the layoffs would be broken to employees by CEO Brian Chesky in a call starting at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Chesky ended up telling employees in a note, quote, "We are collectively living through the most harrowing crisis of our lifetime, and as it began to unfold, global travel came to a standstill. Airbnb's business has been hit hard, with revenue this year forecasted to be less than half of what we earned in 2019. Before the layoffs, Airbnb had 7,500 employees and also had projects that were related to potential hotels, a transportation division, and even luxury stays. As of the news breaking, they will be halting all of these future projects, and U.S. employees laid off will receive 14 weeks of base pay plus an additional week for every year that they've worked at Airbnb. Airbnb will also provide 12 months of healthcare for laid off U.S. employees. And May 11th will be the last workday for any impacted Airbnb employees in the United States and Canada. Starting in 2020, the tech company was eyeing an entry into the public markets. They had even lined up bankers to lead their initial public offering, which would actually have tested whether or not Airbnb could live up to the $31 billion private market valuation that they received all the way back in 2017. As of right now, the company plans to raise $2 billion in new debt funding at a valuation of $18 billion. And in February, the Wall Street Journal reported that Airbnb had lost $322 million over the first 9 months of last year. In 2018, the company had reported a $200 million profit. Unfortunately, Airbnb is not the only company being directly affected by the coronavirus pandemic and the offshoots that are being caused by it. As one of the biggest burger chains in the United States, Wendy's will be pulling their hamburgers off the menu at some of their locations because of a nationwide meat shortage. As of right now, nearly 20% of the restaurants in their chain have had to stop serving any beef-based items amid the pandemic. Whispers and threats of a national meat shortage have been going on for just a little while now. However, this is one of the first directly observable impacts that we've seen from such a shortage. The fast food company has confirmed that it is experiencing problems with their beef suppliers and that, quote, "Some of our menu items may be temporarily limited at some restaurants in the current environment." As of right now, there are some states in the United States that are being directly impacted at a much worse rate than other states when it comes down to getting hamburgers. Restaurants in Ohio, Michigan, and New York are running extremely low on any sort of fresh beef, but there are other states like Arizona and Nevada that aren't being hit directly as bad yet. As of right now, about 1,000 of Wendy's restaurants are not serving burgers or other beef dishes. Thousands of workers in processing plants across the United States have contracted COVID-19, and a bunch of facilities have either shut down or slowed production down to a standstill due to fears of any further spread of the virus. Hundreds of employees at a Tyson pork factory in Iowa were just recently confirmed to have contracted COVID-19, which constituted over 50% of the employees. Tyson also said that their output of pork is down 50% despite any measures that they've taken to physically distance workers and to try to supply meat.
Yeah, well, good morning, Alexis. Well, first, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to our frontline workers who are making food possible for America. They're doing amazing things. We've got a couple of plants that are down. Those have been taken down to protect our workers. That's job number one for us. They will come up when we're confident and when local authorities working with us are confident that they're ready to go. We slowed the production in some places to make sure that we've got appropriate social distancing between our workers who are working on the front lines.
Some are saying workers and officials there are saying that this is a little too late from Tyson, that you took too long to actually close this plant. In hindsight, did you take too long, Stuart?
Yeah, look, I think from the very beginning, we put workers at the front of our agenda. We were very quick immediately to start, before things really got going, to start taking workers' temperatures. We ordered face masks. We got protective barriers in place. We staggered the shifts. We did everything possible, deep cleaned our plants to ensure our workers are safe. And we have been right at the front of ensuring that we slow down lines and take down plants to protect those workers.
3 major plants in Iowa and 1 in Indiana were shut down by Tyson Foods because of COVID-19 contraction. Their beef processing operations in Washington and Nebraska have also shut down. Beef production is down nearly 25% since the same period last year, while pork production is down nearly 15%. Since there's such an issue with providing fresh meat in stores right now, some restaurants and stores will see a price increase due to a lack of supply. With all of this being said though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, of course, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubTheOptimus. Make sure to check out ShopOpti and OpTube down below. Lots of great things going on over there. Thank you to my channel members, your support helps my channel tremendously, and until my next video guys, this is Optimus, telling you all the shit that's going on in the world, and signing out.